for women, mainly women, throughout this entire country. It's really cool to be able to do that working with people. This is not, John Miller coming up with an idea.
And it
This is,
started with you.
no, it started with
With
the
the
victims'
parent-
families.
the victims' families, but
who
you
were
helped
willing,
them.
who were willing to do what it took. It's very painful for them to go through all of this, but they wanted to do it. They were willing to do it. That's the kind of thing that really makes a difference in people's lives, and that's what we all, I believe, should do. We all could, you heard that story, and not to sound corny, but that kid throwing the starfish back in the sea,
Yeah.
And just for your listeners out there who didn't hear the story, there's a guy seen this little kid throwing these stars in the sea, These starfish, they were washing up on shore and they're dying. So this kid's picking one up and he throws it back in the water, and he picks another one, he throws it back in the water, and the guy said to him, says, "Hey kid, what are you doing? There's thousands of these things. What possible difference can you make here?" The kid picked up a starfish, threw it back into the sea, said it made a difference to that one.
Yeah, no kidding.
And if we all believe that, can you imagine what the world would be like?
Mm-hmm. I've done that myself.
Yeah.
In Florida. At our
See,
home.
there you go.
Throw them back in, then when the tide washes some of the conchs in, and they're live shells, and you see the tourists come and picking them up because they're going to take them home and
Yeah.
make mirrors or decorate their bathroom with them, and it's
Yeah.
just, ugh.
Yeah,
But it makes a difference to those, the ones that you throw back in.
absolutely. Throw that rock in the pond and you see the ripples and they go far.
Listen, I want to know something. How do you go from police chief to state senator?
Well, I actually went to the House of Representatives at first, and actually it was a case like the stalking case, but over the years I actually went down to Springfield to lobby for a wide variety of pieces of legislation, and when these ideas became law, we saw the difference it made, and I thought I could probably do more in the General Assembly than I could as a police chief, and I got a lot of support from a lot of people and friends and neighbors and co-workers and everybody else that said, "You really need to do this and go there." They thought I was crazy for doing that, but it seemed to be the right thing at the time. And then from House of Representatives, I got moved to the Senate.
How long were you in the House of Representatives?
I was there. I got elected in 2002, and in July 1st of 2005, I moved to the Senate.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Listen, you're known to fight hard for issues you believe in statewide and not only for your district. Tell us about your work with the Illinois Food Bank.
Well, I'll tell you, I would like to ask our listeners to really think about this because it truly makes a difference. I have a couple of statistics here I'd like to share with you. The first thing is that in this last year, there was an estimated 502,400 different people who were served by the food bank. Over 500,000 people, different people served by the food bank.
Illinois Food Bank?
Northern Illinois Food Bank, which serves 13 counties, and that's a 168% increase from 2006. Think about that. I mean, there are so many people out there that need help every single day. There's some other statistics that I think are kind of interesting as well. That this last year we did probably over 30 million pounds of food for the food bank delivered to about 500 or so, maybe 600 different agencies. In other words, the shelters, food banks, food pantries rather. So we have like the 7,000 miles of roadway, 13 county area. So many people need help, and especially today, people are out of work, and even our neighbors. You don't think about it; they don't want to talk about it. They're out of work. They can't pay their mortgage. They have medical bills. I mean, what do they do? Now they got to buy food. This is what we're for. In addition to all those people who've been out of work for a long time, in addition to people who really can't do this, I think it's an obligation for all of us here and the listeners as well. No matter what you do, whether you can send them a little money, send them some food when you go to the grocery store. If you see a jar of peanut butter, buy an extra jar for the food bank, or the local food pantry. They're looking for help for whether or not you're helping them serve food, whether you're helping them stock shelves, or the Northern Illinois Food Bank itself, whether you're helping them put a product together, whether in my case, many times I'll drive a truck. I saved my CDL over the years, and I drive everything from their straight jobs to their semis now. And
No
there's
kidding.
So much, yeah. And we all can do something, each and every one of us. And every listener out here, if you do something once a year, that's great. If you do something every week, that's great. If you send a check in regularly, that's wonderful. No matter what you do, but if we all would participate in one way, shape, or form to any of these food pantry shelters or the Northern Illinois Center, rather the Northern Illinois Food Bank, which is now located in St. Charles. It's going to be soon to move to Geneva. That's
Okay.
the center area. We also have there's a place up in Park City and the Rockford area up there, as well as someplace down south. I think I don't know, Joliet or whatever. But the point is that there's a place you can go, and you can serve by doing this. And it's to me, it's just unacceptable that people in our society would go hungry. It's unacceptable.
Yeah.
There's no reason for it, you know? And we have many stores here that participate, Jewel's, Dominic's, Walmart, I mean.
How do they participate?
Well, they give like excess food, it's stuff that might be just about to be outdated.
Okay.
Dented cans, you know, things like that. So the managers of the store will put it to the side, give it to us, Northern Illinois Food Bank picks it up, drives it in, and then the volunteers, and remember, the food is worthless unless a volunteer touches it. So the volunteers come in, they either clean the cans, they look at the product, they make sure it's safe, they make sure it's right. We have the freezers there, they put it all together, they package it, and then they send it out to the pantries, the shelters, or wherever else it's gonna go. So that's a huge thing. And now, normally that food would have been thrown into the garbage. And so, you know, that's another way of doing it. And then we have, like some of the big companies like General Mills and others that will share some of the product for whatever reason they maybe overruns or maybe the bags don't look right or whatever it
Yeah,
might be, but the product is
misprinting.
good, misprinting, whatever it may
Yeah.
be. They load up the semi-trailers and, you know, and then we just make the swap from an empty semi to a full one, bring it back in, and that stuff goes out into the community.
No
But we need
kidding.
people, people need to do this. See, they can't, it doesn't happen by itself, so everybody's gotta participate.
Like volunteers, you
Yeah,
mean, to
volunteers
come
would be
and?
great. Volunteers are wonderful for that, you know, and if you can't volunteer and you can send a little money, that's great, or drop off some food.
Where would you take the food?
I mean, if you know of any food bank, not bank, food pantry or shelter where you live nearby, drop it off there. They'll use it. If you're near St. Charles and you wanna call them up and say where you can drop this stuff off, or ask them where you drop off the food, it's 630-443-6900, I think is, 443-6900, I think. You check it, we have to check Northern Illinois Food Bank in St. Charles. Maybe by the end of the show, we can check it here, maybe I can check it on my iPhone here. You know,
While you check that, there was a great story involved with your Northern Illinois Food Bank. That they've combined with the Salvation Army and City of Elgin to have a nice summer program for kids. You know, the kids, mom and dad will be working, but and they put it at the parks, all the area great parks, St. Francis Park. So there'll be a nice meal at lunchtime for area youth in the summer months. So that was a combination of nice work amongst all those groups you were talking about, Senator.
oh no, this is great, and I do have the number here. It's 443-6910, 630-443-6910. Call, ask them where they could drop food, send a check, volunteer, and they'll do it. And I think, you know, especially at the Christmas season now, this is a really good thing to talk about, although we need help throughout the year. So.
Do they have, like you say, if you're buying a jar of peanut butter, buy an extra jar. Do they have places where, at Jewel and Dominic's?
You know, I'm not sure.
You know what I mean, like
you
a-
could buy it there and drop it off.
Yes,
They have,
exactly.
Occasionally they have
Drop-off
times of the
boxes or
year
something.
where they'll do that, but I don't know if they do that year round, and I should know that, but I don't.
Do you think we could get them to do that year round?
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Because then I think if that box was under everybody's nose, right between the cash register where the baggers are and the front door, you know, Illinois
That's a
State
great
Food
idea.
Bank, you know, and so people could just get their stuff, drop it in there.
Yeah, it's a great idea, especially they're right there and they can think about it when they're there. You know, you can get this extra jar.
Because
of
if
peanut
it's
butter.
under your nose,
Right, it's right
you know,
there.
don't, if I'm
Or
gonna
some
get an extra
sardines
jar.
or whatever, you know.
What am I gonna do with them?
Right, right,
But if
right.
you guys have a box at the Jewels, at the participating Dominic's, Whole Foods, Aldi's, whatever,
Great idea.
that's what I think you
Yeah,
should
why don't I
do.
pass it on after the show today, actually?
Please do that.
Yeah.
Let's see, let's switch a little bit here. Did you get to know President Obama when he served in the Illinois?
Yeah, I actually met President Obama when I was the police chief at Elmhurst. I did some work with him where we were working on early childhood education and after-school programs. And he was easy to work with. He was just a good guy. He was very articulate, smart, understood the issues, and I enjoyed working with him.
He is a good guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a very nice
He's
man.
a very,
Now, he's at the other party, and I don't agree with him necessarily in our political, the political differences, but that said, as a human being, I worked very well with him.
do me a favor,
Yeah.
don't let him run Sarah Palin. Please, don't do it, then I gotta run. Then you guys got 2 years to tutor me, to bring me up to speed, so that I could run against Sarah, because, I mean, come on, I'm sorry. But let's not talk about that.
Let's ask one question. We've got
Go
a
ahead.
wonderful new police chief here, a young upcoming man, been on the staff since '92. Took over as chief on April 16th of this year, Jeff Swoboda. You would know
Yeah,
Jeff.
yeah, I know who Jeff is, yeah.
He's
So,
a
good man, who'll do a good job for the city of Elgin.
That's great. He's young and bright, as you say,
Yep,
doing a nice
yep,
job.
yep.
So
And he has the interest and the energy, and that's going to be very important for working for the city of Elgin. You know, it's a big city
Great.
and medium-sized city, but it's a big city out here, and a lot of issues that they have to deal with every day.
Everybody's got issues they have to deal with, don't we, huh? Every town,
You apparently
community.
have Sarah Palin issues, I believe.
No, you know something, she just annoys me.
Well,
I'm
maybe
sorry.
it's just her shows, maybe the Alaska show.
No, it's not that. It's her attitude. It's her greediness. I don't like greedy. I see that greedy there.
All right.
And that rubs me the wrong way. So you're listening to the Laura Dion-Jones Show on WRMN, 1410 AM. And if you've got something to say, call in and say it at 847-931-1410. And let's get back to our conversation with Senator John Milner. I have so much to ask, I don't even know where to begin. I know you're a staunch state budget watchdog who is disappointed in the budget process and its lack of transparency. And I also know you're a champion of ending wasteful spending and requiring state government to live within its means. Since your stance on waste in the state budget reminds me of Toni Preckwinkle, the new Cook County Board President, and how she aims to reform the board's wasteful ways, do you think this is possible not only for Cook County but for Illinois statewide as well?
Yeah, I do, because one of the things she wanted to do and that she started now to do is that issue of creating transparency, being able to look at the budget on the computer, and making a very difficult decision early on and sharing what that decision is, as well as her goals. You know, one of the things that I did in the General Assembly is I put a bill in to look at 5-year projections, both in revenue and expenditures, because when I was the police chief of Elmhurst, we had to do that, and my 5-year projections had better be pretty darn accurate. And the idea behind it was, we need a destination, and we need a roadmap to the destination. And right now, Illinois doesn't have that. We just kind of fly by the seat of our pants. It's unacceptable. And one thing I want to share with our listeners here, too, is that, you know, we hear about Republicans, you hear about Democrats, and one party over the other, and I think it's actually, it seems to be ripping our country apart. But I'll tell you that 95% of what we do, we all work together.
You have to work
We
together.
all
That's
work
why I
together.
don't
90
understand.
what we do, 95% of the time, it's that 5% of the time that gets into issues, especially issues like the budget, that rise to the surface that people, you know, for example, the media tends to report on. But when we do things that we pass some really decent legislation that's going to be very, very good for Illinois over the last number of years, and just so many pieces of good legislation that both sides had to work together on. They created the legislation, they worked together on the legislation, they promoted the legislation, they did whatever they could. And we just don't hear about that often, but I just want to let our listeners out here know that this really does go on, and it's important to know that. But the 5%, let me tell you, we'll argue and fight over it.
You know, one thing I know from being connected with some people in politics in Chicago and different areas, a lot of times you'll hear somebody say, oh, I have a neighbor and he works at the such and such department, and he says all they do all day is read their newspapers, and they have 8 people in their department and they could get by with 4 or 5. So
Yeah,
how do you,
and
what do
I'll
you
tell
do about stuff like
One
that?
of the bills that I co-sponsored last year was a forensic auditing bill, and I think what we'll do this year, because it's a big bill, it's hard to do, there's so many agencies, we'll have to do a forensic auditing, random forensic auditing. And what that means is we have to look at the organization completely. Stories like that, it's unacceptable if you have somebody reading the newspaper all day long that that's not their job and not doing anything, because we're spending tons of money to keep people employed, to do things for the people. It's all about how can we serve the people of Illinois, and if we have people who aren't doing their jobs, they gotta be cut. And we have to have some agency look into that. And typically, what happens in government, all government, not just state of Illinois, is that there's a lot of turf out there. One department or one agency wants to keep all their people, all their dollars. They don't want to give anything up. The other agency doesn't want to give anything up. They could collaborate on so many occasions, but they won't because they're afraid if they're giving up power. It's these turf battles. It's unacceptable, man. We're way beyond turf battles here. We have to do the right thing and work with people and make sure we know what our mission is. Our mission is to serve the people of the state of Illinois. And so I want this random forensic auditing bill in place. I want to make sure that the governor, his staff, his people, they know that if there are stories like this, that they're investigated. We look at it, and we have to make sure people are doing their jobs. And if they're not, they got to go. Simple as that.
It's disheartening to people like us, the normal constituency, especially when we hear this,
Right,
especially
right.
when we have friends who are out of work.
Yeah, but the other side of that coin is I can tell you, many times I've been to different state agencies on a surprise visit to walk in and visit to see what they're doing. They are working there. And actually, there's so many of these people that are overworked. You know, when you
Yeah.
have like 3,000, a caseload of 3,000 people, that you can't do that.